Okay.
First time no wood.
Five, four, four, yeah, five, four, five, four. Then cross it. Nice. I will use that to work now. Do you want to come up with then?
What's that?
Yeah.
I can.
First in the chef. Look around. Shit that they're right now. Come to me.
Very welcome.
Welcome to this is
Thank you.
That's what you can.
At another level, to another degree, to where it was destructive for me, where it wasn't fun.
I don't want you to ask
To sort of numb myself out. But afterwards was when the pain was hit. Then I would have suicidal feelings, which would get my husband self-destructive, and it's just this never-ending spiral downward.
I wouldn't hug my friends. I would avoid even hugging family members. Being close to people wasn't okay because it wasn't safe anymore. But as I got older, I had an amazing addiction for danger. I wanted to drive very fast. I loved motorcycles. I wanted to
Look time.
get into dangerous situations and get myself out of them. But what I was doing was risking my life. What I was doing was saying, what is my life really worth? My life isn't worth that much.
There were definitely times where I was like, if this happens once more, I'm going to kill myself. You know, I just can't deal with it. I was screaming inside, I was crying inside all the time. But I never knew what to do about it. The thought of death, I think, scared me more than anything else at that time. And then it just seemed like, you know, just to hold on is so much more important than just completely let it go. I definitely don't think it's hopeless now. If you think about it, it's definitely not hopeless.
No matter how painful it is right now, they're changing into it.
You shouldn't consider such stuff like this. There's no risk for it, and there's a lot out there to live for.
go back to you. What do you get the blowfish? It's a puzzle! They do not go all the way!
What's up, I'm Daisy. This is Jonathan Brandon, my very special guest here in Kansas.
You having fun?
I hope you have some sunflower on.
You know I don't.
You don't, huh? Because I don't know, but can you guys see this? Yeah. You need to work on the color just a little bit. But it'll be okay. You're going to be here for a while. I think you'll be...
We got another week here.
Yeah, so it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Coming up, we've got Beatbox, Ask Daisy, and a lot more. You feel like listening to Stone Temple Pilots?
Music video, yeah?
Yeah, one of those video clips we're known for.
Check it out.
Okay. Yeah.
Get back here, you bitch. Chester, you're dead. You hear me? You are dead!
The critics are calling Disclosure a fantastic, sexy thriller.
She said you sexually harassed her. She harassed me.
The fatal attraction of the 90s. Sizzling. Michael Douglas and Demi Moore are at their best.
You have no leverage you're up against. As usual. We'll see.
Disclosure. Warner Brothers proudly presents Christian Slater.
Are you guilty of the murder of Rufus McCain?
Kevin Bacon.
Most women. I don't kill.
And Gary Oldman.
I will not be treated the same way as this two-time loser!
Based on the true story that brought down Alcatraz.
We'll eat you for breakfast. I'll play hardball too.
You created the murderer, didn't you?
What the hell do you think you're doing with this trial? I'm not trying to do what's right. I'm talking about justice or murder.
In the first.
Come on in here, meet the great Taco!
The critics are cheering for Carl.
Mesmerizing. Tommy Lee Jones gives a riveting Oscar-caliber performance.
Your wife left these in my automobile last night.
One of the year's best, most profound films.
The Children of America.
Academy Award winner Tommy Lee Jones. Cobb. Critics call Maverick hilarious. It's filled with thrills, filled with fun. Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster are terrific.
Yours is good. Very good.
James Garner at his best.
$1 million to the winner.
A 10-gallon hit. Mel Gibson, Jodie Foster. Maverick, a Richard Donner film, rated
A top-secret satellite with nuclear capabilities. A team of international terrorists. A government-held hostage. President and the others been safely evacuated. Undetectable headquarters.
I'd like to call your attention to the highly trained men with the automatic weapons they may be called upon to shoot you.
There's only one problem. The cook from Under Siege is back. I'm not even a cook, but there are some things I'm good at. And things are really heating up. There's a 45, okay? Yeah. Well, last time, you rocked the boat. This time, the sky's the limit.
back here. Ê, các chờ các bạn. Back up. Back up. Come here. Come on, come here. Boom, boom.
So you want me to tell you the story of my life? Like I said, I'm a collector of lives. I've done radio cameras. You don't have a lot of tape for my story. I got a bag full of tape right here. You followed me here, didn't you? I suppose I did. You seem very interesting. No, just a room. I want to see where you started. So, what do you do? I'm a vampire. Something I haven't heard before. You mean this literally?
Come on.
So you wanted me to tell you the story of my life? Like I said, that's what I do. I'm a collector of lives. I've done radio cameras. You have to have a lot of tape for my story. I got back from the tape right here. You followed me here, didn't you? I suppose I did. You seem very interesting.
But
This is where you live?
No, just a room.
Oh, I see. So, what do you do?
I'm a vampire.
Something I haven't heard before. You mean this literally, I take it?
Absolutely. I was waiting for you in that alley. Watching you. And then you began to speak.
It was a lucky break for me.
Perhaps lucky for both of us.
What the?
You said you were waiting for me.
Ali.
What are you gonna do? Kill me, drink my blood, all that stuff?
Yes. But you needn't be concerned with that now.
Dinner.
You really believe
What
this
dinner?
stuff? Vampires didn't like life. We love it. I wanted to prevent it.
I want this opportunity.
Why don't you do that?
A series of simple gestures, only a little too fast for you to see. Not human. Years.
Get there! Get there!
How can I put you at ease? Shall we begin like David Copperfield? I am born, I grew up. Or shall we begin when I was born in the dark?
Sit up.
As I call it.
Sit up. Sit up. Sit up.
Probably where we should start, don't you think?
Sit up. Sit up. Sit up.
Here we are.
What? Sit up.
Poor baby.
1791 was the year it happened.
Sit up. Sit up.
I was 24, younger than you are now. The times were different then. I was a man at that age, the master of a large plantation just south of New Orleans. I had lost my wife in childbirth. She and the infant had been buried less than half a year. I would have been happy to join her.
Huh? Did you do that?
I couldn't bear the pain of their loss. I longed to be released from it.
Did you do that?
I wanted to lose it all. My love, my state, my sanity. How many you say to think? Are you calling me a cheat? I'm going to be so stinking awful. Like the courage of your convictions. Most of all, I longed for death. I know that now. I invited it. My invitation was open to anyone. To the whore at my side. To the pimp that followed. But it was a vampire that accepted.
You still want it? Or have you tasted it enough? Enough? He left me there on the banks of Mississippi. Somewhere in between life and death. Lawyers to my house. I've come to the critics. Life has no meaning anymore. One has no taste. The food seems you there seems no reason for any of it, does there? What if I could give it back to you? Pluck out the pain and give you another life. One you could never imagine. And it would be for all time. And sickness and death could never touch you again. Don't be afraid. I'm going to give you the choice I never had. That morning I was not yet a vampire, and I saw my last sunrise. I remember it completely, and yet I can't recall any sunrise before it. I watched the whole magnificence of the dawn for the last time as if it were the first. And then I said farewell to sunlight and set out to become what I became. Have you said your goodbyes to the light? If I leave you here, you got it.
No.
You can be young, old, my friend,
Baba.
as we are now.
Good. Stay.
Will you come or no?
No, no. What?
Oh, mijn vrouw.
Papa.
Papa. Papa, kijken. Papa, te kijken. Zie. Look at that. It's a problem. I'm from
How long have you lived here?
He doesn't think he's got any family. That's all I
Che ciao, spero per tutti i cittadini. Dai, padre. Ah!
Did you know Mr. Harris? What about him? Well, not that much really. We talked about, that he was going to Japan. We talked about Naomi Singer. What did he say about Naomi Singer? His new friend. And,
That wasn't that 12 pounds. Excuse me, I'm looking at the gas department. Oh, yeah.
What are you worried about?
He's the party.
what? Do you think I'll do anything soon?
Yeah, hold on.
I think I have to go to throw. Very hard to find him.
Я фотографирую. Посмотрите на меня, оба. Сейчас. Сейчас.
Yeah, the penalty something I had to find them. Don't care, I will over the evil.
I'm a editor.
I think about it.
I think we got this out with the story of sleeping now. And then first we then we'll have some questions. Right, that's all right with me.
Well, I want to start by saying hello. The way I found out about you guys and ended up coming here was in talking with Pam Baldwin. I'm doing a story for Emerge magazine. I don't know if you guys are familiar with our magazine. And so since February, I've been talking to people in the Black community on the national level and here, and attending Gallaudet's graduation and things like that, and just doing research on the Black Deaf community. So that's how I ended up here today. So let me start by telling you about Emerge. It comes out 10 times a year, and we're based here in Washington, D.C. The magazine started it started in 1989, so 6 years ago in New York. And its founder died in 1993. We moved here to Washington, D.C., and our circulation is national. It's 140,000. And the demographics for our readers is most are college educated, 35 to 65. Most 55% female, 45% male. So what we try and do is a little different than most of the other Black magazines out there. Our subtitle is Black America's News Magazine. So we focus on business, politics, healthcare. We have arts departments in the back like books, music, jazz, theater, film. In this particular issue, this is the July-August issue. I wasn't sure how many people would be here, so I brought 10 copies. But this particular cover story, our editor-in-chief, he's been a reporter for over 30 years, and so he's worked within the mainstream media for Sports Illustrated, the Chicago Tribune. So when he came to the magazine, which was in May of '93, which is also when I started, he had me to sort of retell a lot of history that he felt the media had not told at the time it took place correctly. So periodically we do some sort of looking back story. So this particular cover story is 40 years after the death of Emmett Till. So he interviewed his mother, and so that's what the cover story in this issue is about. There's also a story on immigration. A lot of immigration laws have been in the news lately, like with Prop 187 and trying to cut the budget and looking at how many illegal immigrants there are and that kind of thing. So what we did was do a story on immigration and how various policies affect blacks, people immigrating from the Caribbean, from Africa, and things like that. So we have a story on here on immigration. There's a story in here on Louis Sullivan, who in the past 2 years, he's been doing some African-American summits in which he brings together business leaders from America and Africa. And they meet in Africa and talk about different new opportunities for development in Africa. So there's just not a lot of white Americans or Europeans who are benefiting from progress in Africa. So that's something that he's trying to do. There's also a story in here on environmental racism. So, and that actually looks at how a lot of like waste plants and things that just cause cancer and those kinds of things, how a lot of these kinds of facilities are disproportionately built in black neighborhoods across the country. So that's what the environmental racism story looks at. And so our staff is, we have a pretty small staff for National News Magazine. We have 6 editors, and we have an art department, production, circulation, that kind of thing. So I'm an assistant editor, and I have there's 2 other assistant editors, a senior editor and a managing editor, and then our editor-in-chief, who is George Curry, that I mentioned before. And like I said, we just try and do something that the other magazines don't do, and that is look at the harder issues. I do various things that come up. I like a lot of the arts, like theater, film. I edit the book section, which is 6 pages each month. And like I said, I'm working on this story on the Black Deaf community. It was supposed to run in our September issue, but it got pushed back, which actually happens a lot with stories. So if the stories don't have a particular time element and there are other things that kind of have priority, they come in. So now we're looking at a November publication. So hopefully that will stick. No, I'll have to fight to get it in there. But that's kind of good because I've got a chance to talk with more people and kind of broaden the story. So that's the basic stuff. If you guys have specific questions, I can kind of tell you more about the magazine, or if you want to tell me more about what you guys are doing.
It's interesting. I'm curious, you mentioned right now, you're doing an article on the Black Deaf community. I'm curious, could you explain a little bit more about that, about your article? What area are you going to, what's the title or theme of your article?
Well, let me tell you how I got interested in the magazine. I got a letter from Karen Anderson, the National Publicity Director, and she just kind of sent us a 1-page letter telling us about last summer's conference, just to, I assume she sent it out to various media, because a lot of people aren't aware of your group. So we got the letter in-house, and that actually was probably like maybe last fall. So she sent it to the editor-in-chief, and he gave it to me because he gives me a lot of, social special interest stuff. So I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. So I had our researcher pull me different articles that he could find on the Black Deaf community from, I guess, as far back as 1982, and I just kind of started reading up, and I thought it sounded interesting. And so I just kind of started calling some people. I talked to Karen, and she got me in touch with her husband, Glenn. I spoke with him. And then came to the graduation. So I've spoken with some other various people. I've spoken with Pam,
Lloyd.
Pam Lloyd. And so that's basically what I've been trying to do. I've learned about different things that you guys face with the ADA laws, trying to go to various public functions, and interpreters may not be provided and that kind of thing. So basically, in answer to your question, it's kind of a broad-based article. I'm not really supposed to tell you exactly what I've said, but what I've tried to do is, I don't think our readers know anything about the community, Black or just the main, community as a whole. So what I've tried to do is just sort of introduce them to the community as a whole, talk about the organization, talk about various issues that you face in terms of law and education, and get some personal voices in the story too.
For whatever it's worth, I think there are many different issues that need to be addressed in the Black deaf community. And I'm glad that Pam had the time to contact you in Emerge Magazine, because I think it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us, but still there are so many different issues, concerns. For instance, Black deaf children. Many of these children are born in hearing families and they can't communicate with the children. And then they're placed in predominantly white schools that really don't understand them. And I think the kids are then labeled in a false way. So those are the kinds of issues we're talking about addressing. For many of them, English is a second language, so that they're kind of behind in acquiring that natural language. So we want to see that the African American community works with us, especially in terms of sign language. We have some wonderful leaders in the community, but we want to see others take an interest in what's going on. I mean, there's an interest in the community on a whole, but what about us and our language? I mean, we want to be able to take advantage of literacy programs and things like that. During the summer, Black deaf students really have nothing to do. I mean, what can they do? They want to be able to be involved in enrichment programs where they hear and see stories and things like that. So we're hoping that we can use your help. Many of us are trying to move up, get better employment, but we have, you know, it's a double negative image. So we would like to see those kinds of issues addressed in your magazine article.
When you say you wanted to see people have more of an interest in talking about summer programs for the children, are you talking about the greater Black community, or are you talking about specifically just in terms of programming for the deaf? You want there to be more of a focus on the Black deaf community?
I'm speaking of the Black deaf community under the wide, under an umbrella of Black people, for example. And so that Black deaf children can tap into the resources that other Black children tap into. Maybe 1 month children could be focused on what are the needs of Black deaf children. Maybe another month you might focus on employment in the Black deaf community. But I think there would be more of an interest if you focused on those specific things that are going on in the community.
Yes. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too.
Adding to what Angela was saying, there might be a little confusion in Black community and Black deaf community, and I think what we're saying, being Black and deaf is different than being just Black. And again, we say, you know, there are two barriers there. I think Black people, you know, have their issues and struggles with the majority white culture and prejudice and all those other things. While we as deaf people face a lot of the prejudices and stereotypes from the Black community. It's an oppression on us from our own community, even though we're Black. But if I meet a Black hearing person, there's an obstacle there because we can't communicate. And they don't understand where I'm coming from. So I think a lot of issues are related to self-esteem, and we're especially concerned about the children who later become adults also, and the issues that adults face. I mean, sometimes there's an issue of calling ourselves Black first or deaf first. And I mean, these are two different cultures for us, two different cultures in one person. So, you know, there are a lot of issues that need to be discussed there. explaining the concerns about the children, school, and community. But not only youth programs, but we're also looking at kind of like a grassroots type of approach where anyone can get tutoring for the future. Yes, you're concerned about youth growing up and all of that, but we are concerned about everyone's future and how people can get into programs. In addition to what other people have said, I'm currently working on a program about diversity in ASL, in American Sign Language, differences between black people's signs and white people's signs. What are the values, what are people's backgrounds in relation to these two different groups? And we've been focusing on black deaf people. Now so far I've gone to Boston, Kansas City, Fremont, California, and my next stop will be New Orleans in September. But I know we're definitely going there. I don't know after that. But we're seeing the similarities. For instance, white people, their expressions, and black people, very animated. But those are the kinds of differences that we're noticing in this project. But those are the kinds of things you want to address in your magazine. Black hearing people. They're they seem to approach hard of hearing children a little bit more comfortably. And so I think that maybe in your magazine you need to address some issues that parents need to know about the language and what to teach their children. Should they teach them cued speech or American Sign Language? For instance, I grew up in a deaf school, and my mother had to give me up, virtually give me up, to send me to this residential school. Now her values were typical black family values. She wanted to keep her child with her. But she had to send me off to residential school where I stayed morning, day and night. And now in addressing black deaf advocates, we see an embracing of all of the different ways that we have grown up and issues related to interpreters and things like that. And how BDA focuses on the needs of the community, but we're wondering if these are the things that you can focus on in your article.
Hello, my name is Christy Merriweather. Right now I'm here in graduate school. I have to do some research for a psychology project. And I want to focus on the black deaf groups. And I'm having some problems because there's very little research done on the black deaf community. Only one mainstream group. And they were assumed that it doesn't matter what race you are in or what group you're in. You're deaf. And they think all deaf people are the same. So I'm trying to work around that problem, but it's a little difficult for me. I feel like I'm almost invisible, and they don't hear my voice.
You were saying you feel like you're invisible and no one hears your voice. Are you talking about in terms of when you're doing your research because you can't find much on the black community, or do you just mean in general?
I feel like the deaf community is overlooked. They assume that we have the same beliefs, the same culture as the mainstream deaf. And they just try to include us. They never ask us about our opinion, you know.
That's actually true because I came to the Gallaudet Library in the archives and I was trying to get some information on Dr. Foster. And so after I found what I needed and I was there for a while, I thought, well, why don't I ask them if I can see if they have a file or if they have any kind of information on the Black Deaf community. And the archivist, who actually was very helpful, but she says, oh yeah, you know, actually we've just been starting something, so after all these years, just now they're beginning a file, which wasn't in order, it just kind of was a lot of, and most of the stuff was on Dr. Foster, so yeah, that's true. But at the same time, if you go to any Black organization or any Black archive, it's not specifically deaf, there won't be anything on the deaf Black community there either.
That.
That's right, that's right. I feel like the Black community, they need to become interpreters. So, because they're going through the same type of difficulties. And I've heard from Black professional interpreters, few who are certified. And when I hear stories about how they have to really, they know that there's some kind of discrimination against Black people who go through the same testing for certification, and most of them do not pass. And I think it's not because they have lousy skills. I think it's more about the opportunities available is limited for the Black interpreters. You know, they really don't get the experience to improve their skills as often. You know, the preference is to choose white mainstream interpreters.
So when people are, if it's just a mainstream event, how would they know that they're Black? You know, if they're just like calling on that they can get an interpreter, or is it just like anything else, it's all about contacts? So if you have mainstream functions, large functions on a frequent basis. So I was just wondering if you guys could tell me why you think that is. I mean, just like anything else, would they have maybe contacts or, you know?
Maybe some Black people aren't sufficiently motivated. Maybe it's something in the background, or when some hearing organizations looking for interpreters, and they're looking, you know, with Black or white people, they see some commonality. They're looking for, they can't really identify who's a Black interpreter, who's a white interpreter. I mean, the names are all basically American, so. I mean, I think it's more like a, you know, old white boys club. You know what I'm talking about? A deaf person needs an interpreter. What do? They say, do you know a good interpreter around? Now, if they ask a white person is going to tend to recommend a white interpreter as opposed to a Black interpreter, because they really don't know the names of the Black interpreters. I don't know, considering what you just said, I have a different opinion. I think Black hearing people still feel a lot of oppression from the majority. When Black hearing people take up sign language classes, they're going to face oppression too, the same as we do as Black deaf people. They're going to be put down, they won't get enough support, they won't get enough opportunities, they will not be encouraged, you know, sufficiently to keep going. And we're the ones actually, the people in the Black deaf community, who have to do the encouraging. That's where we have to put our focus. Okay, but from my opinion, I think Black Americans need to change just a little bit, because since slavery, even though we're free, we're still facing struggles from the majority. Those are the white people. But let's forget all that. Let's put that aside. I mean, I learned from Black people, I learned from African people about working and staying together and not to depend on other groups who are not Black. And you keep going with your own resources. So I think we should do the same thing here. Oh yeah, I believe that we are doing, but you cannot ignore racism. It's there, it happens every day. Now, oh yeah, we learned how to work around, we learned how to break down those barriers and keep going, but you can't ignore it, it's still there, it's still an issue. So I think that's something that we have to continue to fight. We have to keep that network going. And of course, we're still struggling, trying to find black people. Where are they? You know, and we have to set up some type of network and keep in touch with our own and know what's going on. And when things are going on, make sure that they're included. But sometimes we're not really in touch with those interpreters and other people out there. And I really feel kind of disgusted about that. I mean, there was a conference at Howard University, and there was one white interpreter, and I felt, this is awful. You know, but that's just one thing. But here's a white interpreter. But it was an all-black conference, you know what I'm saying? And here was this white interpreter. And it was a conference of black women, some black deaf, but here was this white woman. Now, when it was time to sing Lift Every Voice and Sing, okay, you know how that song is. That's our national anthem, and it should be in signs of inspiration, with gusto, with zeal. And she was just signing like this, no big thing, and I was thoroughly disgusted. And it's sad, because this conference was pulling black women who had attended Howard University, and I was a speaker, and I wanted to share with them how they arrived where they are today. Some were lawyers, doctors, historians. I mean, there was a whole list of professional women. But here was this white interpreter, and I don't think she really understood what our culture was about. But I mean, and you're telling me that they couldn't find a black interpreter? I think there are people who can go that extra mile and really help us keep it, have that network going within us, but they don't. They don't put forth that extra effort. Black. Now, related to the discussion that that's going on right now, I think the biggest problem, we have to start at the bottom, meaning the black community itself. The black community working together, trying to achieve their goals, you know, setting up various organizations and documenting how these organizations are progressing. Now, here in the black deaf community, we're working just as much, if not more. But I think the problem today is the black community and the black deaf community are working together. And we're struggling, but who wants to struggle even more? Here's the black deaf community right here, and we're worried about the same issues. We're black too, we have the same issues, but there are more things going on in our community. There are more barriers, there are more roadblocks for us. Yes, for black people in general, all over, we're facing struggles. But who's sharing the concerns with us? And there's so many things, you know, that we're facing today that apply to the real world today, but I think the biggest problem is what can we do individually to make sure that the whole black community, including us, is stronger. Now yes, the whole black community is very important, and that's the major focus. But are they going to recognize us and who we are, and let us bring our issues into their forum? I mean, there are schools all over, but where are the black deaf teachers? How many black deaf actors and actresses do you see? I mean, the list could just go on and on. Who's running all of these organizations? They're black hearing people. Another thing I want to show you, and people have been kind of telling me to mention, is that we had a play called I Didn't Hear That Color, which involved black deaf actors exclusively, and what was going on in the community, in the black deaf community. And we wanted to bring it into the black community, but we really didn't know where to go. I have a dance company called the Wild Zappers, and there are many black deaf men in that company, but we don't know where to go. we try to knock on various doors and get in, because we want to succeed also. And I mean, the list goes on. I mean, there's schools, black deaf teachers who are trying to get into the school systems and work. When they go around recruiting, we're there. When they, they're offering money for different things, we're there, but we're not getting those jobs. The list goes on. Are there any more questions? Now, you said you had to go at 2 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay, let's remember that we have a deadline time-wise. Now, in your article, I'm sorry. In your article, do you plan to just focus on people from D.C. or from other cities also? I mean, the national conference, BDA, is in Nashville. Are you planning on going there, or?
I can't come because I do have another conference to go to. So, and actually our whole office is going to be out, so I won't be able to make it, but I am aware of the conference. So I hope to get some materials from it.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Barbara has been interpreting at the National Association, it's connected with the National Association of Interpreters, National Alliance of Interpreters. What are some goals for the, what is the national mission for the National Alliance of Black Interpreters? And I'm addressing this to Barbara. There's a conflict for Barbara because she's also working she's interpreting for this meeting, and to voice her opinion, which is a conflict of her responsibilities at this meeting. I can make a motion that Barbara Hunt take off her interpreting hat and then let the person Barbara Hunt speak.
I agree. I would like to know what Barbara has to say. I would like something to
Yes, agrees with me that that she would need to hear the opinion, Barbara's opinion. Not only Barbara, but just in general, from Wanda, from Cassandra, and Barbara. As 3 interpreters, it might be a good 2 minutes to express their opinion. Is that okay with the rest of the group? But it's important to ask their permission. Okay. Okay, so I think it's unanimous by applause that we go ahead and let that happen. Okay. Now, I'm wondering, Cassandra, could you hold up just a minute and voice for Barbara whether she wants to sign or whatever, and then go back to Barbara, put her interpreting hat on so she can continue interpreting the meeting. I'm not a strong voice or so, but I don't mind interpreting. Well, whoever. Decide what you want to do. I'd rather do that, since this is a DDA meeting.
Okay. Question. Okay, my probably said you guys as a black interpreter. I'm not sure if you all know about the National Alliance of Black Interpreters. It was established a few years ago.
We have the only chapter here in the DC area. But there are black interpreters all over the country that are joining our chapter here. But DC is the only chapter. We have many members here in the DC metropolitan area. You're all aware of the problems that we face as interpreters. You know, trying to get access, you know, to various places to show our stuff. But I don't want to say oppress or to humiliate, but black interpreters have to associate with the black deaf community. And we're finding that problem. We have a problem passing the national certification exam. It doesn't matter if we're highly skilled, and you know our skill levels. I think many white interpreters are just as highly skilled, but we're not always equal to our white interpreters. They feel threatened by us often. If a white interpreter see a job, hey, and they know the pay as well. And it's kind of hard to avoid giving up that nice assignment. Oh, I know it's not the proper job for me, and I should give it to a black interpreter, but I don't do it. That's a problem too. That's all I think about. You know, Barbie Triton F working around the country and developing a good interpreters. Also, we're in black interpreters. Most of us do not work as interpreters full time. Few of us work. Most of us who work at other jobs, and we interpret part-time, or in the church setting, or but not an 8-hour job. The white interpreters can. They can do that.
What?
Bob.
Barbara, I know that I know I've talked to you before, and you mentioned how since you've become an interpreter, basically a lot of your socialization, most of it is within the black deaf community. You said that you thought it was important for black interpreters to socialize with the black deaf community. You find that for a lot of them, it's just they work as interpreters and that's it. They're not friends with. Why do you think that is? You know.
Well, because there's still that it's their community and my community. And people don't see or find those ways to make that connection between the two communities. I'm not saying it's not happening for all the black interpreters. I'm just saying that it's not happening for all the black people who have contact with the black deaf communities. Some who feel that strong bond, but for many black interpreters who try to pass that national certification exam, they really need to socialize. Because many things that they will learn in the community, they're not going to pick up in a classroom.
Good there. Good there. What's it as a hearing?
How is it for you as a hearing?
I'll stand down here on the floor.
Going after both sides of the world, knowing that one thing can be done through the comments, like that opportunity to whatever you do with it.
Do you mean how black interpreters can do something, or how things can change in the black deaf community? My opinion. The hearing, your opinion about the hearing and the deaf? Oh, that's a heavy question. I can only speak for hearing people. Like Fred said before, we're all part of the black community. It doesn't matter if we're deaf or what, but we're all black. Then that feeling of community is more prevalent. I would like to say that it's like
I won't deep with it. I'm too bright. If
I'm comfortable,
you know, it's all right with you. It's all right.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter if I get your help. And I'm saying the interpreters, black interpreters are facing the same thing. You have to hear that self-confidence about one. We come from the deaf community. But the problem is, the things that have been happening in the past, like Yahweh University set up an organization called OAA. It's a lot of hearing aids that people come together and discuss the problems of today. Many things has been happening in the university. There's something happening there. And they need to hire more black people, more opportunities for black students. And we need more of that in the world. However, now, the organization is slowly losing our leaders. You know, nothing's happening lately, but we're too busy worrying about ourselves to be concerned about the things that's happening out in the world. Next interpreter.
I think the key for black hearing interpreters is that there are black deaf interpreters too. Now, how many of you know that? Don't try and glaze over. How many of you know that there are black deaf interpreters also? Well, I have a certificate of so many hours that I've taken in a course as a relay interpreter. And people say, what's happening here? A deaf person as an interpreter? But yes, if there's a black hearing interpreter who's interpreting, and I'm the black deaf person. Now suppose it's a deaf person, and we're in the doctor's office, and the black deaf person is just pure ASL. Now the black hearing interpreter is not understanding a word that's being said. I'm their backup. I watch what the black deaf person is signing, and then I give it to the black hearing interpreter in a way that they can understand it. Now it's possible that the black deaf person will not understand the interpreter. Now I will get the response or whatever the interpreter is saying and interpret it for the black deaf person. And I can be a lot more specific and really give the person the information that they need. It takes a lot of cooperation. And I mean, you know, there are so many different kinds of signing. It's so easy to misinterpret what's being said. And it really happens quite a lot in the community now. So I just wanted you to be aware that maybe that's something that, another thing that emerged can touch you.
I just want to add one thing about the black interpreters and some of our struggles. And one of our main problems is the education of black interpreters. There's almost none available for us. Most of us are working people. We have regular jobs. As Barbara said, we have 8-hour jobs. Most of us are not working those 8 hours as an interpreter. So we can't give up that full-time job to be accepted into a full-time program, like here at Gallaudet University, the master's degree program for interpreting science. That's one of our biggest obstacles, is that there's not enough recruitment of minority interpreters, and not only black interpreters. Recently, we got our hands on the federal grant application for the federal money from the Department of Education. Now, in this application, it mentioned the minority deaf communities, the black, the Hispanic, the Asian community, and that there's not enough interpreters for these minority communities. But what did they do? They said that we want to now start recruiting minority interpreters? No. They want to educate mainstream interpreters on how to interpret for a black deaf person, how to interpret for an Asian deaf person, because now I'm going to teach you their culture. Now, I already know about my black brothers and sisters' culture, so train me as an interpreter. You don't need to tell me about my culture. I already know that. Now, that's one of our biggest problems, is that you go into most programs that are training interpreters around the country, you'll only find 1 or 2 blacks sitting in that classroom. And I'm not saying that those 2 people will graduate from the program. Most of the time, you only have 1 survivor. And that's what I call, you have to survive, because you have to put up and accept all that they dish out to you, because they're constantly making us feel inferior. Our signs are inferior. Our mouth movement is exaggerated. Why? Because our lips are not as thin. Now, this is 1995, and believe me, we're still confronting these same old problems today. Now, you can go over there to Gallaudet right now, to that graduate program in interpreting science, and see how many blacks you find. You won't find 1 who graduated. Last year, did they graduate the class last year? 1. 2 years ago was the last.
Was the first and last.
It was the first and last. African American, yes. Jackie Bruce was the first and last graduate from Gallaudet's Interpreting Science Master's Degree Program. So my biggest complaint as African American interpreters is that there's not enough training available for us to improve our skills. Most of the black interpreters come from the church. Most of their skills are developed in the church. In this area, I just did a survey, and there was like 85% of our interpreters who are a member of NAOPI receive their training and their skills in the church. Now, You can't even find a religious workshop. You can't find a religious terminology class offered here at Gallaudet. And nowhere close to us. I myself, I do work as a full-time interpreter, but as an educational interpreter. And you can't find any training here in the D.C. metropolitan area for educational interpreters. You can't. You have to go out of state. To even get a degree as educational interpreter, you have to go out of state. The closest place for me to go to get a degree in education interpreting is in Greensboro, North Carolina, or Rochester, New York. So why is there not enough training here? You would think of all places in the world that Gallaudet would be training interpreters on the undergraduate level so that we are growing with our deaf student population. Because we're not going to get interpreting level skills in a 2-year program. It takes 2 years to develop conversational skills. So that's my point.
Good. I just wanted to add something too. I was trying to put down some of the things I was thinking about because I didn't want to go on and lose my thought. But anyway, the reason that I came here today is because someone invited me. I guess it was maybe Wanda. Did you send me the letter? Someone, I don't know. It was the first letter that I got, so I decided to try and see, what this was about. And also because I'm realizing lately that I need more association with the Black deaf community, so I thought this would be a good start. That's the reason I'm here. I do work as a freelance interpreter, but I have my comfort areas that I tend to focus on. And first would be medical settings, the next would be classroom, and then maybe a religious setting because I learned in the church too. I have a good, strong background in medical work, so it's very comfortable. I think of myself as a medical interpreter, if there's, something that you can call that. But anyway, that's the reason I came here today. And in my comfort zone, so to speak, I don't really have a lot of opportunity to use my voice. It's mostly just interpreting. It's very, little opportunity. So I see that there's a need for me to develop my skill in that area too. So I'm trying to focus on that. And also, we were mentioning what we encounter as interpreters, Black interpreters. I don't know how many times I've gone into a situation, I'm sure that you have also. You go to a situation, they're expecting an interpreter, and then I show up, or you show up. They're ready to arrest us sometimes, if you're going to like a federal agency or something. It's like, who are you? Wait, I'm the interpreter. Oh, sorry. And then you can go on. And then if you happen to do a good job, then they're doubly shocked and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say about that. So anyway, you just hate seeing that attitude from, people again and again and again. Because we really do have some good Black interpreters, but, we don't see each other and they don't see us often enough to give us the credit that's due. And also, I was thinking myself, I had a pet project that I've been wanting to set up for a while. And I've been thinking about it again, and I think because of the meeting today, I think I'm going to have to, think about it a little bit more, is there aren't enough Black interpreters. And what I've been wanting to do for a while is to try to set up a program in connection with maybe the DC public schools and try to help some of the students who are on like the junior, senior level in high school, or maybe even junior high school, is to help them to learn a little bit of sign language with the focus or the goal of becoming interpreters later. Because we know that also in the Black community in general, our numbers in going to university is not very high. So I know that myself, I'm working on my degree now, and I hope that next year I will graduate. But, you know, you survey around, you ask how many of us have our degrees, not many of us do. So, but as interpreters, we do, you know, get good money. So to try to help the young people to see that the language skills that they're working on in the high school and junior high school level, that it is important because you have to know your own language to be able to interpret in someone else's language, whether it's sign language or, you know, a spoken foreign language, you know, French or German or whatever. So to try to help them to see the necessity and the importance of focusing on their own language. And then, you know, it's popping into my mind also about how many young people there are that can't speak standard English, and you know how the white community will take us to task about that. So if they learn their own language and learn to speak it correctly and build a good vocabulary and so forth, then we can train them to become good, effective interpreters. And that's my goal. I really want to try to set up something. I was looking for government money, and then someone recently gave me an entirely different idea of where to find money, and I think that maybe when I slow down enough, I can go and try to make some calls or write some letters and send them out and see if I can find some money to set up maybe a pilot project and see how that works out. And then maybe we can see more black interpreters who are involved in the community. And one last thing I would like to see, it's been mentioned already about NAOBI, the Black Interpreters Group. I would like to see NAOBI and Black Deaf Advocates maybe have a few functions, you know, together, or, you know, something to focus on the Black Deaf community and NAOBI. I've been with NAOBI. I haven't been going to the meetings lately, but for the year that I was with them, I never heard, maybe I'm wrong, but I never saw and never heard any projects or events with the two groups together. And it just seems that at some level we have a common purpose, you know, a common focus. And I just would like to see that it seems that it would help both groups and the Black deaf community in general. So.
Okay. She has to go.
Last one.
Okay, the last one. About 5 years ago, and since that time, what I've seen is I've been aggressive enough to go out into the community and in the hearing community also. Oh, and the Sisters Facebook. But there have been some, and I decided to go and forget about trying to get an interpreter. And then at Black Expo, I went there. There were no interpreters there. They need interpreters there. I mean, I can think of all the events where I just decided I wanted to go, but I knew there wasn't going to be an interpreter. Now, there's NAOBI, there's BDA. Yes, they should come together. We should try to find some things that we can do, because one needs the other. And I'm sure that we can all work together.
Got me,
Really.
Glass that. If I thought you got to leave.
Okay, I'm sorry, I arrived late. My name is Claudia Gordon. Well, I'm saying it's important. As I'm looking around at all the different comments and what the interpreters are saying, maybe they said some things that I'm going to say now, but as far as the Black community goes and getting ahead and improving, I think we have to clean up our own house first. If you analyze the situation, you'll notice how we try and divide ourselves into various groups. Who is a smart group? Who's the educated group? Who who really are the social butterflies and hang around in a social atmosphere. We divide ourselves up. So, I mean, what is BDA for? I mean, here in D.C., we have so many black deaf people. But have we really taken the time to kind of participate and do the things that are important to all of us, especially here at BDA? Some people don't feel welcome. Some people feel uncomfortable. And we haven't really analyzed what's going on in our own group. We have to find out what's causing us to separate ourselves and how we can improve that, have everyone come together. Then from that point, we can move on and we can kind of make bridges to other groups. BDA, the money situation, has to be in a stable state. And I mean, considering economic times, we really have to focus on the economics of the organization first. I mean, our money is kind of shaky. Pam's job as president is not a paid job. It's the same with the interpreters who are coming here. They're not being paid. So people are constantly giving to the organization. So we have to be sure that we take care of each other. And then again, we're looking at the kids. What are we doing for children? And the point goes back to all of us being dedicated and committed. And it's a very slow pace right now. So we really have to find ways to build up our economy, to build up our financial base. And then as a strong organization, we can network more. We have to look at the parents of these black deaf children. I mean, these parents, why aren't they coming to our meetings? So we have to analyze all of these different situations and see what's going on in our own house first, how we can build our own organization. Then we can call in other organizations. And I'm sure through Emerge, we'll get exposure and people can hear what's going on and we'll be listened to. But right now, they think that we're not important. And I think we limit ourselves. We think about just focusing on the deaf community. But I think that there are a lot of ways that we can go out and make ourselves heard, have people notice us. And then they in turn will feel more comfortable in associating with us. Because right now they're feeling, oh, it's a deaf person, we can't communicate. Let's not even go in that direction. So those are the kinds of things, I think, basic things that we can solve.
Say about me.
Oh, she stole my word. Stole my thunder.
Say about me. Say
Well, I have to go now, but I just want to say that I'm really happy that I got the opportunity to come out and talk to you guys. This has really been enlightening, and I'd like to come back another time just on my own, having nothing to do with work. And all the comments that you've made have, been really profound, and they'll help me. And I just appreciate everything, and I appreciate the interpreters helping me out too. So, thanks, Pam, for inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
I would like to respond. I appreciate you coming, and I would hope that from here that you did enough information how to kind of spread the word to maybe Access Magazine and have them to contact us to help us to network with them. I just hope one day, maybe Black History Month, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, they could dedicate our life to recognize the Black community. And we need something like that to start with, Maybe Emerge or as an advocacy to kind of help us continue the network. We'll be happy to work with you.
That's right. That. Really? Okay. I understand. Wawa. Wawa. You want the wow.
Because I'm working at recruiting. I will have an exhibit for guys at university. That's one thing. Also, the paper information I've gotten was told me that I have to show up on the end. I have to set up everything on the end too. So now I'm hearing this about the acceptance on the April evening. I thought people were not supposed to show up until the 9th. So, but it's the 8th. So it was two different information I was getting.
Do I action on her, or is there going to be?
Afternoon, okay.
Now we buy a good car, so
I just drive hard.
Mainly airplane.
How tiny are we? How tiny are we?
We're tinier than him. You want to go close to
I want to go sit
Yeah.